Heroes of Hurricane Dorian highlighted. Restoration efforts continue 6 weeks later. And an apparent suicide under investigation. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all. I'm Shashina Roll-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, this is National Heroes Day, and several Bahamians were honored today in the nation's capital at Government House for their contribution to nation building. The nation's leader telling those in attendance that the celebration is all about recognizing those who have exhibited excellent national service or excellence in their various fields of endeavor. The Prime Minister highlighting the heroes of Hurricane Dorian for their display of bravery and courage.
Nurses, doctors, defense force, and police officers, family administrators, and other public officers and private citizens were on the front lines of protecting others and saving lives. Many of our fellow citizens put their lives at risk in the service of others. Most of these public officers on Abaco and many of these heroes on Grand Bahama lost their homes and all of their worthy possessions. On this National Heroes Day, we recognize their courage and their grace.
Citizens saved lives by opening their doors to others who had to leave their homes due to rising floodwaters.
Some Bahamians took to jet skis and small boats to rescue others. Others knocked on the doors to evacuate neighbors, children, the elderly, and the infirmed. Beginning today, through various social media, the Office of the Prime Minister will recognize and recall the examples of a number of these heroes. Their stories exemplify the courage of many, many other Bahamian heroes. Such service and courage is a powerful demonstration of the best of the Bahamian spirit and the spirit of One Bahamas.
Now, among the persons being honored this National Heroes Day are Frank Watson, Tommy Turnquest, as well as former Senate President Lynn Holoesco and former parliamentarian Edmund Moxie, Reverend J. Carl Ramming, Reverend Dr. Philip Ramming, and Norwood Ramming of Andros. And switching gears now, it's almost 6 weeks now since devastating Dorian, and the Grand Bahama Power Company and the Grand Bahama Utility Company are still working diligently to ensure that Grand Bahama residents are energized and have running water. GBPC Director of Customer Solutions Phil Grant giving this update at a major stakeholders media briefing on Friday.
Today we have restored power to about 15,700 of our customers. The pre-Dorian totals were about 19,000. Despite the small isolated packages that we're still dealing with, 7 days a week we're working, the majority of those homes were indeed 3,000 residents, 400 businesses that suffered, I think based on the projections that we saw, some level of damage where they're not safe to energize. We'll continue to work with those teams, make sure that as soon as we get those inspections, working with the relevant government agencies to restore power as quickly and safely as we can.
Meantime, Grand Bahama Utility Company General Manager Giron Turnquest says GBUC has assessed the groundwater resources along with their hydrogeologists and now have data to make decisions and implement immediate action in the recovery of their potable water supply. He says so far they have received over 60% of their well fields and 90% of customers.
Based on the data we have gathered and the hydraulic and water quality modeling tools we have developed, we now have put together an immediate action plan that aims at reducing the mass loading salinity in the system by optimizing the use of wells that have the best water quality. The recovery time for bringing the water back to standards highly depends on the amount of rainfall that we receive in the next few weeks. We have observed that the levels of salinity are naturally dropping, but rainfall will accelerate significantly the aquifer restoration process. However, we are pursuing alternative solutions, such as RO, to also reduce the salinity.
Well, while GB Utility continues to work on getting the fresh water supply back up and running, residents are nonetheless able to access fresh water, and that's thanks to assistance from various international agencies. One has set up a depot in the Pine Ridge community. Megan Shepard has their story.
Political counselor in the Embassy of Israel, Nadav Gorin, along with a team of volunteers, setting up pure water systems at the Urban Renewal Pine Ridge Center recently. Gorin says that they empathize with residents on this island, and they are pleased to offer this technology that will provide such an essential service.
Israel has a lot of experience with emergency management, particularly in the area of water. We've brought over to the Bahamas some of our top experts in the area, and what we're going to do is set up the same emergency operation here in the Bahamas, which means, as you see over here, we have centers where they'll be able to get clean water, and we're going to have a system of transferring the water from a clean water source to these centers that will be put up throughout the island.
He adds that it was important that this be a sustainable model.
This is why we see this not only as an assistance program, but also as a partnership program with NEMA. We're going to have NEMA staff undergo training to know how to operate this, and we're going to contribute all this equipment to the Bahamas so that, God forbid, in the future there is another incident, NEMA can operate this by themselves.
Senator the Honorable Jasmine Darius partnering with the counselor to help facilitate the setup and management of the water system. She says that she and the Urban Renewal staff members are excited to meet the needs of the community.
With this apparatus here, the community itself at large will be able to benefit from this potable water system, and it will really mean a lot to the residents in this area. And of course our staff here will be trained to use the apparatus and also to make sure that it's functional and operational for the usage. So we're really happy to have this partnership with us.
She also extended gratitude to the Urban Renewal employees who have been working from sunup to sundown, assisting with the community during this time.
My staff was on the ground from the day after Dorian. Actually, my staff was the team that was managing the distribution throughout the island of Grand Bahama for all of the shelters and all of the centers that had food and for food distribution. And we were excited to be a part of the recovery because some of my staff had damages themselves, but even in the midst of that, they came out and they worked from before dawn until after sunset. And so it's all a part of seeing Grand Bahama rebound, understanding that as a people now we must bond together and come together so that we can see Grand Bahama get back to not a former glory, but to a greater glory.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Meantime, international organization Satya Sai held a water purification training at the St. Paul's Methodist Church to help Grand Bahama residents as potable water remains a major concern post-Hurricane Dorian. Disaster Relief Coordinator Alex Grana says they are just happy to help.
We are a spiritual organization and a humanitarian organization with presence in over 120 countries. We attend to major disaster relief situations around the world. Our main motto is to love all and serve all, and we are here doing exactly that, seeing what are the needs of the people here. And today especially, we have brought a special filtration system that will help people in these kinds of situations get clean water in any circumstance.
Now, the organization says using their purification system, the water is safe to drink.
We tested the water. We tested the water for simple things such as the salinity of the water, and that the measure of the salinity is the conductivity. We measured the conductivity coming out of the tap water was in the range of about 370 micromole. which is approximately 250 milligrams per liter water, approximately. And the World Health Organization standard, WHO standard, is for the salinity to be less than 500 milligram per liter. So from the salinity point of view, the water is a good candidate for distribution for public health.
Well, more names added to the listing of missing persons on Grand Bahama in the wake of Hurricane Dorian. As Jamila Mizik tells us, the list now includes a mother and her 2 children.
Police releasing the photos of 5 additional persons missing in the East Grand Bahama district following the monstrous storm Dorian 6 weeks ago. This latest group include 43-year-old Darnita Cooper, a janitress, and her 3-year-old twin boys Aaron and Adam Cooper of Emmanuel Way High Rock, 51-year-old Albert Bridgewater of Bevanstown, and 71-year-old Catherine Lynn Armstrong of Derby Subdivision in East Lucaya. Others confirmed missing are Don Locke Donnie Munnings Jr., 6-year-old Omarion Lawrence Munnings, Rafaela Lavette Munnings, a 53-year-old janitress, 24-year-old Giovanna J. Ford, an insurance agent, Shirlene Josephine Pinder Cooper, a 48-year-old teacher, 60-year-old Roswell Pinder, a security officer, 60-year-old Sybil Pinder, a customs broker, and 22-year-old Tanae Pinder, 46-year-old Monique Nicole Munnings of High Rock, 18-year-old Henley Audronique Mackey, and 28-year-old carpenter Howard Charles Bevins, 43-year-old Terrell Rudolph Lightborn, a security officer, as well as trained retired teacher 60-year-old Clarence Marcus Jones, all of High Rock, and 49-year-old George Lang, a fisherman of McLeanstown. From the small community of McLeanstown, 4 persons have been confirmed missing. They are 31-year-old Philip Thomas Jr., a marine pilot, 8-year-old Philip Livingston Tidal Thomas Jr., 6-year-old Ramil Alicante Wave Thomas, and 16-year-old Mateo Bethel. Police say a total of 30 persons have been reported missing. 9 persons perished during the storm on Grand Bahama. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Jamila. Well, police are investigating an apparent suicide here on Grand Bahama. The victim, a male, was found in the area of the Jack Hayward High School this past Saturday. Our Megan Shepard picked up the story.
The police received information.
Officer in charge of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Brian Roll, telling media officials that around 2:40 p.m. on Saturday, officers received information regarding a male who appeared to be hanging from a tree at the rear of Jack Hayward High School.
Officers attended that scene where they found a male in that position hanging from a tree. EMS personnel was called to check the body for signs of life with negative results. The police is currently in the midst of this investigation. It appears to be a suicide, but as the investigation continues, we'll be able to give you and provide you additional information.
While the victim has not been officially identified, it is understood that he only recently came to Grand Bahama from the Turks and Caicos Islands.
The age is between late 40s, early 50s.
Now, officers are still investigating this apparent suicide and have not officially determined a cause of death. However, Superintendent Roll is offering this bit of advice to all Grand Bahamians as residents continue to rebuild and rebound post-Hurricane Dorian.
For most of us as Bahamians, we have grown up in Christian families, and our faith is stuck within the Christian faith, if I could use that term like that. I know that this is a time when so much disaster hit this island, and people are going through a lot. It's gonna be incumbent upon us, and I say that us, all of us, the residents of Grand Bahama, to pay attention to our loved ones. See and try to identify if they're going through things, going through situations. Plenty of people at this time are feeling the after effect of the hurricane. And we're gonna have to try to stay mindful and thoughtful and watch those who are around us to ensure that they are living in reality, if I could use that term, living in reality, because plenty of people are in a daze still, and I know that. And so we have to be our brother's keeper. We have to watch out for one another And if we find persons like that, seek the proper help.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Still with news from the police, traffic officers making a significant firearms arrest. Police say shortly before 10 this morning, officers, while on patrol on Adventurers Way, observed a silver vehicle. The driver, they say, was acting suspiciously. The driver sped off and officers then observed him tossing an object out of the window. That object, according to police, turned out to be an illegal firearm. Officers eventually caught up with the 25-year-old male driver in PINERIDGE Loop. He was arrested and is expected to be formally charged later this week. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news on the other side of the break.